The story starts with a man named Shumo, who is facing a trial before Queen Liu Rushu at her palace. The queen is impressed by his ambitiousness and questions why he does not plead guilty to his intent to rebel. Shumo, feeling betrayed, angrily stares at her and asks if the poison in his body was also given by her, suspecting it came from the wine he drank yesterday. Liu remains silent, knowing in her mind that the minister was impeached due to Shumo's great achievements. She wonders why he is asking these questions. Instead, she tells Shumo that she remembers he once had feelings for her and that today she will personally reward him while unsheathing her sword. Shumo, no longer caring, responds that he originally found the Ruoshi sword for her, never imagining it would be pointed at him in the end. Shumo recalls his past when the queen was just a child and he adopted her. Even as a teenager, he was there to protect her like a father would. However, she is no longer the same person and even tells him she is ashamed of him. She then prepares to swing the sword and promises to bury Shumo in the imperial mausoleum and offer sacrifices to him every year. Shumo glimpses the queen's two personalities from the past, one serious and the other a crazy Yandere. Finally, the queen stabs Shumo in the heart, and he accepts that this is his end. However, Shumo has one last trick up his sleeve. He activates his scripture of reincarnation, and a blue butterfly appears on the scene. Suddenly, Shumo wakes up in the past when he was younger, and he smiles, knowing it worked. After traveling through time and becoming the villainous prince in the novel, Shumo sees all the opportunities meant for the male protagonist in order to change his inevitable fate. He carefully cultivated the heroine, Liu Rushu, to establish a new dynasty and make her the emperor. Shumo thought he had executed a flawless plan, but he still couldn't escape his fate as cannon fodder. Now, having had enough and with everything overturned, he resolves not to repeat the same mistakes. An old man appears and asks Shu for his orders. Shu asks how long it will take to arrive, and the old man informs him that it will take half an hour to get to the Silesian hospital of the returning. In his mind, Shu recalls that this is where he met Liu and where he was reincarnated. He knows that Liu is still a weak and helpless orphan now, and he regrets that he won't be able to train her again in this life, raising another ungrateful person. Meanwhile, at the orphanage where Liu is staying, the children are delighted with their new clothes. Among them is Liu, who has also been reincarnated and remembers everything. She realizes that she has come back to the past. Liu now recalls her past life after Shu's death, when the palace was ablaze. Two of her assistants told her that the palace had been invaded by coalition forces and urged her to evacuate immediately. Feeling nervous, Liu asked them where the Green Hills were. The team was waiting for someone and she wanted to know who it was. Suddenly, the windows shattered and a girl appeared before her. Of course, the two assistants defended Liu, calling her the witch and urging their queen to escape. Liu was impressed by their loyalty, but in the end, the two assistants' heads exploded. It turned out that the girl was Liu's sister, whom she had not seen in a long time. The girl's name was Morning Sun, and she had two giant plump sons. The white-headed girl told Liu that when she was taken by Shu to the academy, she enjoyed all the glory and wealth, and even became the Empress of her generation. Meanwhile, Morning Sun could only compete with wild dogs for food, trying her best to survive and witnessing all kinds of hardships. Morning Sun came closer to Liu, stating that she still lost to her. The reason, she said, was that Liu murdered Shu. This surprised Liu, so Morning Sun further explained that as long as Shu was around, it was impossible for her to step into the Great Yan dynasty. When Liu was about to respond, Morning Sun suddenly stabbed Liu's heart without any hesitation. Morning Sun told the queen that by murdering Shu without repentance, she was unworthy of being called an empress. Liu realized that it was her fault, and remembering Shu, she wished she could go back to the past and fix everything. With that, she died. Now Liu is very confused, and a little boy asks if she is okay. The boy then tells her to hurry up and change into new clothes, because a nobleman will come to choose them. Liu remembers a noble person and realizes that it is Shu who will come for them, recalling the time when he took her away. She thinks that it is not too late, that they are about to meet again, and she promises that this time she will definitely do better. The caretaker calls all the children to the front yard. Later in the front yard, all the kids gather, and among them is a white-haired girl, who is probably Morning Sun, originally named Chao Yang. The caretaker scolds her, telling her to stop embarrassing herself and to go to the backyard. However, Yang doesn't want to. She promises that she can just stand in the corner and won't disturb the nobles by causing a scene. She also wants to meet the nobleman. Later, all the kids heard a voice stating, let me see the children you mentioned." Yang and Liu heard him, and they saw Shu. However, in Shu's mind, he remembers Liu Rushu and thinks that this time he won't have anything more to do with her in this life. Liu, on the other hand, is glad that Shu is there, thinking he will pick her. The caretaker explains to Shu that the children's level is generally higher than that of ordinary people, and whether they are adopted as slaves or trained as soldiers, they are all fit. He even mentions that there is a child whose bones are very good and she is the best material, pointing to Liu. Liu's eyes show a distant look. The caretaker then tells Shu that the price of the little girl is slightly higher. Shu responds that money is not a problem. He then notices something familiar and remembers a person he met in the past. He looks at Yang, recognizing her as the future morning star. Shu points at Yang and asks about the girl. The caretaker calls her Little Yang, describing her as the worst child they have, with weak bones. Just then, a man calls out to her, "Morning sun, do not bother the nobles." Shu was surprised to recognize that it was indeed her. He wondered what would happen if she were taken away this time. Yang couldn't help but weep but remained silent, hoping she would be chosen as she looked straight ahead. She then stood up and quickly hugged Shu, pleading with him to take her with him, promising to work hard for him all her life. The caretaker was baffled by her action and pulled her hair, but Shu stopped him. Yang continued to plead with Shu, asking him to take her away. Shu responded by asking if she really wanted him to take her away. Yang trembled with nervousness and pleaded that she did. Shu moved closer to her and asked if she was willing to do anything for him. Yang responded that as long as the young master took her away, she would be willing to do everything for him. On the other hand, Liu was very surprised. She wondered what was happening, thinking it wasn't supposed to be like this. She remembered that she should be the one taken away and felt something was wrong. She knew she must be the one chosen. Even the caretaker was surprised, as he had carefully selected Liu and wondered why Shu was picking the lowly Chao Yang. The caretaker tried to ask Shu again if he really wanted only one child. As Shu was walking away, he asked if there were any questions. The caretaker mentioned that there were many other children with extraordinary abilities, including Liu. With anger on his face, Shu questioned the caretaker, asking if she was trying to dictate to him what to do. This made the caretaker nervous, and she quickly agreed that the lowly ones wouldn't dare. Liu then rushed to Shu, begging him to take her and grabbing his clothes. Yang saw her and held on tightly as well. The caretaker thought this was presumptuous and grabbed Liu. However, Shu grabbed Liu too. In her mind, Liu thought she would now be picked by him, but she was wrong. Shu smacked the little girl, surprising Liu as it wasn't supposed to be like this. In Shu's mind, he and Liu had been together for hundreds of years, but he believed that she could not accomplish anything meaningful like trying to fetch water with a basket. He thought Liu deserved what happened. Shu turned away, stating that he only needed Yang. Liu was still baffled, as it wasn't supposed to be like this. The caretaker then stopped Shu and told him that if he only took Chanyang, it would require 2,000 low-grade spiritual stones or 200 medium-grade spiritual stones. Shu just smiled and asked about the stones. He continued, asking the caretaker if he dared to demand spiritual stones from him, which confused the caretaker. Shu then asked what would happen if he refused to pay. The caretaker responded that it would not be easy for Shu to leave the place. Suddenly, two ninjas appeared behind Shu and were about to murder him on the spot. However, he remained as calm as the old man from earlier, and he gave them the old donut maker, move like Ace from One Piece and Ringoku from Demon Slayer. This surprised the caretaker, who then demanded that all the ninjas attack Shu, threatening that if they didn't murder him, they would all die. Shu then commanded the old man named Wang to handle the situation. Wang jumped high, and in an instant, the ninjas were dead. Shu then faced the caretaker, who pleaded for his life, offering Shu spiritual stone treasures and anything he desired. In his mind, the caretaker knew that since Shu wanted the girl, he had no choice but to capture her as a hostage. He planned to snatch Yang, but Shu swiftly chopped off his hand with his bare hand, as if it were a sharp sword. Shu told Yang that from now on, no one could take her life except him. He then summoned a sword, assigning her a mission to murder the caretaker with her own hands, knowing the extent of abuse she suffered from him. He was right, as Yang remembered all the past trauma she had endured. The caretaker had indeed abused her by beating her and calling her names. Shu collaborated with honest businessmen, recognizing that trafficking children was reprehensible. He pointed out that the caretaker had bullied her, and now it was her responsibility to end his life. The caretaker looked at Yang and begged her not to murder him, claiming he was the one who had saved her. But Yang had promised her master to obey orders, so she began to approach him. The man kept pleading, insisting that without him, she would have died long ago. Yang's eyes flashed with anger as the man expressed his wish that she had died long ago. She swiftly chopped off his feet, and realizing she intended to torture him, he begged her to murder him instead. However, she refused and proceeded to cut off his other hand. With relentless determination, Yang continued to inflict wounds upon the man until he succumbed to death. Shu intervened, stopping Yang and praising her for her actions. Yang looked up to her master with admiration, stating that she had respectfully obeyed his order. Shu assured Yang that from now on, she would follow him, promising to protect her from anyone who would bully her. Old man Wang then asked Shu what they should do with the other captives. Shu planned to provide them with some money and allow them to find a way to survive on their own. Meanwhile, Liu tried to catch up with Shu, struggling to accept her situation and feeling the need to improve her cultivation first. Later, Shu and Yang rode in their carriage, and Shu noticed that Yang hadn't eaten yet. He fed her first and then promised her that if she chose to follow him, she would need to submit to a restriction on her body. Once this restriction was in place, she would never be able to disobey his orders or harm him. Shu offered Yang a chance to choose and let bygones be bygones. With a confident look on her face, Yang promised him that she had made a decision right then and there, and she wouldn't go back on her word. Happily agreeing, Shu began to impose the restrictions on her, which proved to be successful. As a test, he instructed her to punch him, but as she attempted, she felt pain. Shu explained that it was due to the restrictions. If she tried to harm him in the future, there would be consequences. He had learned this lesson from his past life experiences. Upon reaching their destination, Shu instructed old man Wang to arrange a room for Yang, ensuring it was properly groomed. Wang showed Yang to a beautiful room, but she was not accustomed to such luxury and ran out. When questioned by the servants, Yang shyly stated that she could just sleep in a horse shed. However, Wang had promised Shu and was ordered to ensure that Yang had a perfect room. Despite her shyness, Yang couldn't do anything about it. This gesture from Shu made her feel happy about her master. Meanwhile, Shu went out in search of something, prompted by a memory from the past. Elsewhere, at a local market, a young man inquired about a jade pendant, attempting to haggle with the merchant. Suddenly, Shu appeared and offered to buy the jade necklace for 100 spiritual stones, surprising both the young man and the merchant. Thinking Shu might be of royal descent, the merchant tried to deceive him by claiming the jade was important to him and asking for a higher price. However, realizing his error, he agreed to accept the 100 spiritual stones instead. Shu swiftly made the purchase, knowing the young man to be Lin Yi, a hero and orphan who roamed the land. Lin Yi had stumbled upon a rare spirit-seeking artifact, the jade pendant, which set him on the path of cultivating immortality and transformed his life. With his mission accomplished, Shu hoped that their paths wouldn't cross again in the future. However, Lin Yi also sensed something special about the jade pendant, noticing an aura he had never encountered before. So Lin Yi vowed that one day Shu would regret his actions. Suddenly, Lin Yi noticed a beam of light in the distance, speculating whether it was the birth of a spiritual creature. Excitement surged within him, as he believed this could be a significant opportunity. After Shu bought the jade pendant, he began to break it open and discovered 2 items inside, the Cloud Spirit Book and the Cloud Spirit Key. The Cloud Spirit Key allows anyone to enter the secret realm of the Cloud Spirit, enabling a person to reach the realm of heaven. The secret place, called the Cloud Spirit Place, was left by ancient immortals and contains treasures they left behind. According to rumors, the key is essential to accessing the secret world of the Cloud Spirit. In his life today, Shu will be in charge of running the show by himself. Now we return to the palace as Shu finally gets home. He commands Wang to prepare a meal for today. Shu then goes to Yang's room to look for her. Meanwhile, Yang is taking a bath and feels uncomfortable with the maids cleaning her, so they leave her alone. Yang is happy as this is her first time having a really good bath, and she looks pleased. Suddenly, Shu calls for her, making her embarrassed. Shu then enters the bathroom, and I wish there were police in that era. Shu finally realizes that Yang is still taking a bath, so he apologizes and leaves her alone. Good job, Shu. After some time, Yang finally finished preparing herself. She wore a beautiful dress and fixed her hair, and Shu complimented her, saying the dress suited her well. This, of course, made Yang happy to hear. Nevertheless, he told her to come and have dinner, promising that he had something special for her to try. Minutes later, all the maids gathered to serve them a well-prepared meal, making Yang hungry as it was her first time eating such a luxurious meal. Without any hesitation, she began to eat a lot, even gulping down a huge bowl of soup. She was surprised by the little girl's appetite, which made Yang shy as she explained that she usually didn't eat much because she didn't have access to a lot of food before. Shu understood and assured her that from now on, the chef would cook 3 meals a day for her. Moreover, he then called her to go to a place where she could focus. Once they arrived, Shu handed her the Cloud Spirit Scroll, telling her to study it well and to try practicing the skills written on it. Meanwhile, the merchant was enraged, thinking it was bad luck. He now realized the importance of the jade pendant, wishing he had known earlier how extraordinary it was. Suddenly, an old man who was a Taoist appeared, looking for something. The merchant noticed the old man and asked what he wanted. The old man then asked if he was selling the jade pendant shown in the picture. We return to Shu and Yang, where Shu is teaching and supporting Yang's training. Shu instructs her to combine heaven and earth, and finally to inhale deeply. Shu then notices something about Yang and realizes that she is more talented than Liu, possessing extraordinary abilities. Suddenly, Yang appears to have made a mistake and injures herself, coughing up blood. Fortunately, Shu is there to help her. He instructs his servant to call Dr. John. Meanwhile, the young boy from earlier, Lin Yi, after encountering the beam of light, sees Liu cultivating herself, floating in midair. He now wonders if Liu represents the most important opportunity for him. Lin Yi accidentally makes a noise, alerting Liu. She attacks him, pointing a sharp twig at him and demanding to know who he is. Frightened, Lin responds, getting his name and explaining that he is an exiled child. Liu is very surprised to hear his name and recalls that there was a minister named Lin. She remembers that Lin had great potential and could even find the world's treasures for her, though Shu had rejected him at that time. Now seeing this as an opportunity, Liu thinks that Lin might be the one to help her. She believes that if he can find treasures, he can definitely improve his cultivation. With that, Liu lets go of Lin and asks if it is possible for him to travel with her for a while. Lin agrees and asks how he can travel with her. We return to Yang's room, where Dr. John examines her. He notices that although the little girl possesses the mysterious Tianlei body, her constitution is weak. This weakness is also why she overeats. Shu then asks if she is not suitable for cultivation. The doctor is thoughtful, unable to prepare a potion to alleviate the defects in Yang's body. He explains that she will have to endure great pain during her practice. This is only a temporary solution unless Shu can find the ancient immortal grass, jade mussel, and bone grass for a permanent remedy. Shu thanks the doctor for the information. Yang wakes up and Shu realizes she has heard everything. She confirms this, expressing her willingness to work hard for her master. Shu warns her about the severe effects she will suffer, but Yang is determined and tells him she is not afraid as long as she can help her master. Seeing her eagerness, Shu smiles and hopes she can fulfill her promise. He informs her that they will go on a trip together the next morning. He then hands her remedies section to alleviate some of her pain, and Yang thanks him. Later that night in her room, Yang can't help but think of her master. Remembering how she received a sachet from him, she excitedly begins to cultivate. She wonders if this is the pain her master mentioned and resolves to endure it. The next day, Shu sees Yang eating a lot to prepare for her training. After she finishes, the two of them fly away at incredible speed. Hours later, they reach Yulong Mountain. Shu tells Yang that this secret place deep in the mountains might have the ingredients the doctor mentioned. As they begin their search, Yang hears a sound and suddenly sees a giant tiger lurking in the bushes, about to pounce on them. Yang tries to protect her master, but she is too weak and can only accompany him on the search. However, Shu stopped the tiger by using his power. He noticed that there were amber flowers around, which had attracted the tiger. Shu didn't accept that a mere beast was qualified to have them, so he started to turn the tiger into bones. But it quickly returned to its original form, surprising Yang. Shu explained that this was due to the power of the scripture of reincarnation. Shu then collected the amber flower as one of the ingredients, and they went to find a cave to stay in while Yang took the tiger with her. That night, as they rested in the cave, Yang cooked the tiger. Suddenly, Shu told Yang to concentrate on her breathing. Yang saw people outside, so Shu explained that the people were from the sects. Knowing the place was full of danger, and that rarely anyone came there, especially at night, Shu was suspicious of their purpose and planned to murder them for being a hindrance. Meanwhile, Liu and Lin were in the same location. Liu was surprised to see so many sect monks around. Lin spotted a stranger on the ground, and both of them inspected the area, wondering why the immortal mirror and the amber flower had disappeared. Liu suspected Shu might be involved. Nevertheless, she knew she was running out of time and decided to look for an alchemy furnace to start the elixir. She then commanded Lin to find some treasure, though if he was too afraid, he could stay put. In the morning, Yang woke up, remembering the pain from her practice last night, which had caused her to pass out. Shu healed her headache and praised her for her good work, noting that she had even reached the 6th level of key training. However, Shu could not continue aiding her, as they needed to gather the materials as soon as possible. He gave Yang a calming potion for her next practice to ease some of her pain, which made her happy. Both of them then set out to look for ingredients. They reached a dense forest and planned to go to the same place Liu was heading, the alchemy furnace. As they were about to find the place, Shu warned Yang to be careful of the jade horn snake that guards the furnace. Suddenly, Shu heard a noise and was surprised to see Lin fighting a serpent. He wondered why Lin was there. Lin, not knowing why Liu was taking her time, had no choice but to fight the serpent. Seeing this, Shu realized it would be a great problem for Lin. The serpent was too strong and fast, sending Lin flying. As he was cornered, Lin thought it was the end for him, but fortunately, Shu arrived in time to protect him from the serpent. The serpent gathered its power and fired a solar beam at them, creating a huge ball of energy around the forest. However, Shu was strong enough to handle the blast easily, surprising both Lin and the serpent. Yang arrived to support Shu, summoning a cloud wall to stop the serpent, but it didn't stop the serpent from shooting thorny scales at her. The serpent quickly lunged at Yang to bite her, but Shu protected her by summoning an invisible giant hand to grab the snake. Shu easily defeated the snake as the giant hand exploded, causing the serpent to blow into pieces. Afterward, he noticed Yang looking sad, admitting that she still felt weak. Shu reassured her that she wasn't weak. Thanks to her support, he managed to perfect the inner core technique. He explained that if she hadn't made a move, the serpent would not have been so frightened, which caused its spiritual energy to drop. Shu thanked Yang for her good work and for saving his life. He then applied ointment to her wounds while praising her. As Shu walked away, Yang felt happy, as it was her first time receiving acknowledgement and praise from others. Meanwhile, Lin was hiding from Shu, worried that Shu knew his secret about a valuable item. Lin tried to escape, but it was too late. Shu appeared right in front of him, asking where he thought he was going. Lin nervously explained that he wasn't going anywhere. Shu then asked about his companion, and Lin lied, saying that all of his team had left him behind and ran away. Shu then asked another question if Lin had seen any monks from the sects. This time, Lin told the truth, explaining that they were all coming after him. This was just a distraction to our hero, as he saw Shu heading towards the cave and started thinking about Liu. Then Shu went inside the cave and smelled a strange odor of blood. To his surprise, he saw a pile of bones scattered around. He wondered if this was another deviation from the past. He noticed the disciples of the Lilan sect and questioned why they had appeared in the Jade Dragon Mountains. He knew that their cultivation at the 1st and 2nd levels of the spiritual realm was completely inferior to the spirit snake. Yet despite their weakness, they were all murdered, which Shu found perplexing. He pondered who could have murdered them all. Shu knew he shouldn't dwell on it yet, as he found the valuable treasure Lin had been thinking about. Now Shu had it in his possession. As he took it, he heard a noise from the caves, asking if anyone else was there. He tried to locate the source of the noise but couldn't. Suddenly, he heard Yang scream from outside the cave, so he rushed to her aid. There he found Liu, who was exceptionally skilled at hiding. Liu was surprised to see Shu and expressed anger, unable to believe that Yang, whom she referred to as the witch, had asked Shu to work for her and had taken opportunities that originally belonged to Liu. Liu recalled the time she was about to obtain the cauldron, only for it to end up in Shu's hands. It was revealed that the item was the alchemy furnace stove. As she searched for it, she realized it was nowhere to be found, concluding that Shu had taken it. Furious but unable to do anything about it, Liu decided to leave immediately. Outside the cave, Yang was cornered by members of the sect who trapped her with sticks of magical light. They demanded to know who she was and why she was there. One of the men sensed that their other members remained in the cave and speculated that they had been wiped out. He then turned his attention back to Yang, noting that this should be the territory of the Jade Horn Spirit Snake. Seeing that Yang was still weak, a key trainee, he questioned how she would be able to survive. Yang remained silent, prompting the man to grab her in an attempt to force her to tell the truth. He became a very creepy dude, especially as he noticed Yang's beauty. He then threatened her, stating that if she didn't explain clearly what happened, he would have to murder her. Suddenly, his hands were chopped off by Shu. Everyone was surprised to see this man appear before them. Shu deactivated and dispelled the beams of light, releasing Yang from the cage. She apologized for getting caught by them. The sect members began to attack Shu as they noticed he was in the Lingte realm. But Shu remained calm, knowing he was far stronger. He took out paper talismans and used them, sealing the spiritual power of the sect members so they could not use it. Meanwhile, Yang collected spiritual magic inside her, making her more powerful. Shu commanded her to leave one alive. With that command, Yang created a spear of light and began to decapitate all of them except for one, their leader, who now only had one arm. Yang smiled, realizing she now have the higher ground. Yang then grabs the guy and brings him to Shu. Yang tells him that she has taken care of the others. She even stole their storage bag and presents it to Shu. But he isn't interested in it, and he tells her to keep it. Shu then summons a ball of energy and gives it to the man, waking him up. As he wakes up, Shu questions the man, but the man is still in shock with fear. He asks him who he is and why he is murdering his fellow disciples. Yang then summons her light weapon to threaten the man, which makes him more afraid. He tells them his name is Yuz, and he is a disciple of the true transmission of the Thunder Mist sect. Shu then asks Yuz why the Thunder Mist sect is here in the Jade Dragon Mountains. Yuz explains that they have come to search for the legendary Cloud Spirit Realm. Hearing this shocks Shu. He asks Yuz where he got information about the Cloud Spirit Realm. Yuz responds that it was released by an elder from the Green Vine sect, and that's all he knows. As Shu hears this, Yuz begs for his life, but unfortunately for him, Shu had planned to murder him. So Shu summons lightning at Yuz, and he dies in the end. The two of them then walk out to find more ingredients. On the other hand, we see Lin and Liu hiding at the top of the tree, but end up falling down. Liu hears Shu's conversation with Yuz about the Cloud Spirit Realm and wonders what that place is. This annoys her as she needs to move quickly, and now they are planning to follow Shu and Liu to the east. After all, she wants to find out what the Cloud Spiritual Realm is. After some time, it is nighttime as they return to the cave where Shu activates the glowing item. He explains that they must wait for the elixir to condense. Suddenly, Yang arrives with rabbits for their dinner. As she spit roasts the rabbits, she notices that they must be close to the secret ground as more and more cultivators appear outside. She then notices her master, who seems quite confused. In response, Shu mentions that he still has some questions he hasn't figured out yet. Yang tells him that she managed to gather some useful information from the outside. According to the sect she overheard, disciples from all three sects are approaching the secret world now. Furthermore, the sect leaders of all three sects will also personally arrive in the Jade Dragon Mountains. Hearing this surprises our hero. Yang continues, saying she overheard that an elder from the Green Vine sect once went out in search of a jade pendant. After his return to the sect, the various sects began to take action because of that. Now Shu finally realizes that it is because of himself. Since he appeared in a poor state, he took away the opportunity that originally belonged to the forestry sect, causing a chain reaction that led to the Cloud Spirit Realm situation being noticed by the elder from the Green Vine sect. With that, everything makes sense to him now. Suddenly, the furnace stops working, surprising Shu. Since he knows that the elixir is now complete, which is called the Blood Amber Primordial Yang Pill, he opens it up, and a golden radiant light appears. Shu is happy that the elixir is a success, calling it worthy of being produced by the Black Gold Dragon Furnace, and takes the glowing golden pill. He takes one pill and gives it to Yang as a reward. He tells her that she needs to improve her cultivation in order to better assist him in the future, which makes Yang happy. Shu then lays down tired and tells Yang that she has 8 days left to make good use of the pill. After 8 days, the entrance to the sect realm will open, and at that time, she can use the key to enter. Yang promises him that she will practice diligently. She even starts cultivation but gets hungry, so she decides to eat first. Meanwhile, on the east side of the Jade Dragon Mountain Range, we see a giant portal and 3 leaders of the sect and their group planning something at the portal. They suspect that the portal leads to the Cloud Spirit Secret Realm. One of the leaders, named Elder Teng, has truly achieved great merit this time. Now the entrance to the Secret Realm has been firmly occupied by their 3 sects. They believe that even their Lord Shumo, who possesses a jade pendant, will never be able to step into this secret realm beyond them, not even by half a step. With the strength of their 3 sects, there is absolutely no chance of failure. They plan to divide all the opportunities within the realm among their 3 sects. Returning to Yang and Shu, She wonders how long she has been sleeping and asks her master if it has been 8 days already. Feeling hungry, she decides to hunt. To her surprise, a giant puma appears to attack her. However, it turns out that the puma is the prey as Yang catches the beast, estimating that it should be enough to fill their stomachs. The puma doesn't give up and attacks Yang, but she is now stronger than ever and summons a magic barrier, causing the puma to die. In the end, they cook the puma. While eating, Yang observes her master practicing cultivation. She realizes that if Shu doesn't wake up soon, they might miss the opening of the secret realm. She then takes a closer look at his face and notices how handsome Shu is. Suddenly, a butterfly appears, causing Yang to shoo it away. Shu wakes up, and they find themselves closer than before. This makes me uncomfortable to look at. It looked weird. Come on, dude. Yang steps away and tries to explain everything, but Shu, being a father figure, doesn't perceive it that way as he is more focused on the time. Meanwhile, at the entrance to the secret realm, the 3 leaders are now ready to go inside. The portal soon began to open up as the show began. The 3 leaders then shot laser beams at the portal, and with that, a golden light beam appeared, piercing through the sky. Yang and Shu noticed the beam, and now Shu knew that they had already taken action. However, he also knew that they didn't have the keys, so Shu rushed to that place. He told Yang to hold on or she might fall, so Yang happily clung to Shu. With that, Shu sped up to reach the portal. There they saw the 3 leaders trying to open the portal realm, breaking it, and soon after, it started to break in. Shu saw this and knew that they had arrived one step too late, so he planned for all of them to go inside and wait for the leaders. Lastly, the 3 leaders placed a talisman on the portal. Shu recognized it as a spatial locking talisman, a precious spiritual talisman that seemed to have expended quite a bit of energy to enter the secret realm. Shu wasn't worried that the leaders had headed in first, as he focused on the most valuable treasures within the secret realm, something that the leaders wouldn't be able to take away in the short term. The 3 leaders then commanded all of their disciples to go in quickly, and so they did. Meanwhile, Liu and Lin, disguised as members of one of the sects, sneaked in to join the portal. Out of nowhere, Liu sensed something, and it was probably Shu, but she didn't mind as they quickly went inside. The 3 leaders were very happy that they had opened the secret room gates. To them, it was an opportunity within the secret realm to seize with their own ability. With that, they went inside. Shortly after, Yang and Shu followed. Shu noticed that the portal was blocked, so Yang asked how they could enter. Shu responded by using the key he had acquired. As they went inside, they saw a beautiful valley that looked like heaven to them. However, Shu didn't care about the scenery. He was more focused on finding the door before the leaders did. Shu grabbed Yang, knowing that the secret realm consisted of 9 levels and that the door served as the entrance to the next level. He happened to know the location of each door on every level. The 2 of them went to a secret cave that no one knew about. To Yang's surprise, she saw a door. Shu explained to her that all the doors in the secret realm were hidden in such places. Yang noticed the eerie design of the door and remarked that the person who created the cloud spirit realm must have had a dark mind. Here we discover in this chapter of the Manhwa that Shu Mo was reincarnated from another world, where he was the writer or author of the novel. Nevertheless, he felt hurt hearing Yang describe him as dark or gloomy, which made him a little annoyed. He just flipped Yang's comment off and they entered, with Shu sulking about it. As they entered, Yang was surprised to find that they had entered a desert-like place. She asked how they could find the door in such an area. Out of nowhere, a giant centipede appeared to attack them. Shu trusted Yang to take care of it. The giant centipede prepared to launch a beam attack, but unfortunately for the bug, Yang summoned a giant hand that clapped the centipede like an insect. At the same time, Liu and Lin had entered the realm. Lin, knowing the shortcuts due to his sensory abilities, felt pain and realized that a mortal herb should be nearby. This surprised Lin as he wondered how Liu knew about it and its location. Liu couldn't help but think about Shu, which made her irritated. What the heck, why did her honkers magically grow? Anyways, Liu was jealous of Yang, knowing that Shu must be with her at that moment. In tears, she just told Lin to move along. As Liu sought the immortal herb, she was surprised to find that it was already gone. Shu had taken it earlier on the first level and fed it to Yang. He recalled taking a few treasures along the way and told Yang to eat the herb to be more useful. And so she did, consuming it all. Now enraged, Liu punched the floor with great strength, thinking that Shu must have also entered the realm, as they were the first ones to come inside. Lin noticed her irritation and tried to distract her, but Liu, in her anger, beat him up and demanded that he quickly find the door to the next level. Meanwhile, back with Yang, she was fighting a giant scorpion. Shu noticed that all of her attacks were too dull and that she couldn't focus on the immediate task. Following his instruction, Yang used a single powerful move. She punched with great force and energy, calling it the Cloud Spirit Soul Shatter, and defeated the scorpion in the process. This surprised Shu, as it was a bold and effective decision. Suddenly, another scorpion appeared, much stronger than the first one. Yang didn't have any more energy to fight it, so Shu destroyed the giant scorpion. He praised Yang for her efforts and healed her wounds, thanking her masterfully. After that, they proceeded to another level, entering a cave surrounded by black crystals. Shu remembered another door and led them inside. There, the place was full of petals and flowers, creating a beautiful scene. Yang was mesmerized, but Shu stopped her, telling her to breathe and focus. He put up a barrier around her head, explaining that the fragrance was poisonous. He knew that for a poison alchemist, the flower's hallucinogenic fragrance was a priceless opportunity. Suddenly, Yang's stomach began to rumble, indicating it was time to eat. Shu suggested they go to the 4th level to rest and eat something. He opened a portal, and they proceeded. Meanwhile, the 3 leaders were resting at the secret room entrance. One leader was frustrated that it had been 2 hours and they still hadn't found any doors. Their disciples apologized, noting that the realm was vast and boundless, making finding a door like finding a needle in the sea. With no other choice, a leader named Lai proposed using the art of deviation, shocking the other 2 leaders. They knew that this ability consumed a lot and depleted life force. But Lai didn't care. He insisted they stick to their purpose, arguing that a few decades of lifespan were insignificant compared to the opportunities they sought. Meanwhile, Liu and Lin were fighting a lion. The lion was too strong and was about to attack Liu, but Lin protected her, saving her from death. The lion didn't give up and tried to attack them again. Fortunately, Liu saw a sword from a dead man and used it to stab the lion's mouth, murdering it. Lin was still in shock and didn't move much, so Liu kicked him in the groin. She then asked if he had found a door, to which he replied that he had found the one where Shu and Yang had gone on the 1st level. Meanwhile, Yang enjoyed her meal on the 4th level while Shu examined the jade stones, knowing they would definitely come in handy. Yang noticed a piece of jade and remembered that Shu had obtained it on the 2nd floor. Shu explained to her that it was an extremely rare spirit-transforming jade, the best material for refining weapons. He added that the jade could even transform a spiritual weapon into a spiritual treasure, which amazed Yang. Yang then asked him if he had thought about how to use the precious jade, to which he responded that he had a rough idea. Meanwhile, Liu and Lin were fighting a giant scorpion after reaching the 2nd level. Surprisingly, Liu defeated it easily. She didn't expect to encounter so many demons on the 2nd floor. Lin then pointed out that there was a very powerful spiritual light nearby. Liu couldn't see it and asked if it was indoors. Lin told her that it shouldn't be and that it was probably a treasure or an opportunity. With that, Liu rushed to look for it, stating that there was no time to waste and they should catch up. Shu and Yang were cultivating, practicing meditation together. Suddenly, Yang felt pain and threw up blood. However, she didn't want to disappoint her master and was determined not to let him treat her again, so she focused harder on cultivating. Shu saw this and was very proud of her. She actually entered a state of enlightenment at that moment, demonstrating such temperament and talent that Shu believed she was indeed worth cultivating. He began to support her as well. Meanwhile, the 3 leaders were still stuck on the same level. It had been 2 hours and they still had no news of the door. Frustrated, one leader suggested that it was absolutely useless to continue as they were and proposed using the forbidden secret technique. The other leaders reluctantly agreed. The other leader stated that based on his calculations, each person would have to sacrifice at least 10 years of their lifespan, which was a considerable amount. Acknowledging the dangers of the secret realm, they agreed that they shouldn't waste any time and began using the forbidden technique. They soon found the hidden door and Lei took quick action, notifying the disciples to prepare to enter the 2nd level. Meanwhile, back with Shu and Yang, as Yang opened her eyes, she was surprised to see her master supporting her and wondered if he was protecting her. Shu woke up and saw that Yang had awoken. He felt that there was no time to waste and urged her to hurry to the 5th level. However, just as they were about to leave, Yang became hungry again, forcing them to stay for a while longer. Liu and Lin encountered a giant dragon sleeping in their location. They were puzzled by the presence of a desert dragon lizard there. Liu recalled Shu's words about the desert dragon lizard being an extremely special and rare beast. Utilizing this knowledge, she informed Lin that there was likely the legendary spirit transforming jade in the cave behind it. but they were unaware that Shu had already acquired it. Nevertheless, they wondered how they could sneak into the cave. Lin then spotted something from afar. As Lin observed beams of light in the sky, he realized they were emitted by the three leaders searching for treasures. Aware of the precious gemstones and spiritual ores in the cave, the leaders' presence stirred the dragon from its slumber. They demanded all disciples attack, claiming the treasure and opportunity lay before them. Lin hesitated, unwilling to let the leaders reach the cave first, but Liu stopped him, cautioning against underestimating the dragon lizard's power. Meanwhile, Yang and Shu reached the fourth level, where vast mountains and forests surrounded them. Concerned about potential dangers, Yang asked Shu to guide her carefully. Suddenly, clouds appeared, alarming Yang. Shu explained it was due to a misty enchantment, warning that one wrong step could trap them for life. He tightly grasped Yang's hand, leading her along the correct path. Eventually, they arrived at a waterfall where the pond glowed gold. Yang was astonished and inquired about it. Shu revealed it to be the Holy Sun fluid, the greatest opportunity on the floor. Bathing in it could significantly extend life and increase spiritual power. Smiling, he explained that it could refine essence and stabilize her foundation. However, Yang insisted Shu be the one to use it. He explained that using it together would have no impact, but Yang had a different idea. She wanted to bathe with her master in the Holy Sun fluid. Meanwhile, the leaders' group managed to subdue the dragon and began their attack. However, the dragon's roar shattered the seal, causing them all immense pain. Despite this, Liu saw it as an opportunity and used a technique to block their auras, allowing them to sneak inside the cave. They saw a jade that looked like a Roblox logo glowing brightly. It was a top-grade spiritual jade. However, as she was about to touch the jade, they heard noises outside. We returned to Shu and Yang, both of them taking their time in the bath, each far apart from the other. Yang blushes, grateful for the spirits, yet focuses on cultivating as instructed. Meanwhile, Shu can absorb about 1/3 of the pond's power. He takes a pill as part of the ritual and begins to cultivate, causing a whirlpool to appear in the pond. A beam of light emanates from the pond, leading Yang to believe that her master has already broken through to the spirit realm, motivating her to work harder. Suddenly, Yang experiences intense pain, prompting Shu to act quickly and catch her. Upon closer inspection, he notices a golden object inside her body, its identity unknown to him. Now we shift our focus back to Lin and Liu inside the second layer of the cave. To their surprise, the glowing Roblox jade has disappeared, as if it were an illusion. Liu panics, realizing someone must have come before them and taken the precious jade, leaving behind illusions. Lin considers the possibility of other experts besides the three leaders. Suddenly, they hear a rumble and tremor from outside, signaling the arrival of a dragon crashing into the cave. They realize they must hurry to leave the cave. However, Liu stops Lin, noticing the three leaders struggling to deal with the dragon. Unsure of what to do, they watch as the leaders prepare to enter the cave. Yang and Shu rested and got dressed. Shu hadn't expected things to turn out like that. He noticed that Yang's constitution was actually experiencing a backlash, realizing he could only help her by providing special aid. Upon waking up after passing out, Yang remembered fainting by the pool. She noticed that her clothes were now dressed on her. Looking at her master, she asked if he was the one who changed her clothes. Suddenly, Yang felt something strange in her body, prompting Shu to explain that her physique was flawed, as he had mentioned before. He began treating her again. While he healed her, she couldn't help but ask if she was hindering him. Shu didn't care and instead told her that he had temporarily sealed her spiritual power. He then gave her another ingredient, bone grass, reminding Yang of the treasure he had mentioned earlier, the jade skin ice bone grass, to repair her physique. This particular grass was harvested from above the waterfall. Originally intended for medicine, Shu believed it was now too late for that. There was only one method left, but it involved extreme pain. Yang, however, was undeterred. With eagerness and confidence, she declared her willingness to endure any hardship and face any challenge. The first step required her to undress, much to her embarrassment. Questioning why, Shu explained that her clothes would freeze and shatter. Assured that he was the one who dressed her, Yang reluctantly complied, covering herself with a mist of cloud. As Shu began applying the bone grass to her back, he warned her of the potential pain. Suddenly, Yang imagined herself being pulled into a whirlpool, causing her to feel faint. Despite this, she fought to stay conscious, determined to endure for her master. Trapped in an icy dome, her fate now hung in the balance. Meanwhile, the three leaders were surprised by the disappearance of the precious jade. Frustrated, they wondered how it could have happened. Meanwhile, Liu and Lin continued to hide, struggling with the breath-holding technique, which wouldn't last much longer. One of the leaders suspected that someone may have sneaked in while they were fighting and taken the treasure. Speculating that the thief might still be in the cave, they attempted to use an inside technique to check, which posed a threat to Lin and Liu. As they searched for them, one of the disciples delivered urgent news. We returned to Yang's trial, where the ice began to crack and break. Shu wondered if she was about to wake up. Suddenly, the ice shattered, and Yang started to float with immense power. The ice finally broke, and Yang's hair turned as white as snow. She woke up to find Shu beside her, expressing gratitude for saving her life. Shu, however, brushed it off as a small favor and advised her to use the remaining Holy Sun fluid. Yang dipped into the pond to heal. As she looked towards her master, she felt a strange sensation, almost like having a crush on him. Shu patted Yang's head, praising her for adapting well to her physique, which made Yang happy to hear. Meanwhile, the three leaders were surprised to hear urgent news about the discovery of the entrance to the third level. They decided to check it out immediately, leaving dealing with the thief for later. As the three leaders rushed to the third level, Lin and Liu felt relieved and removed their disguises. Lin grew nervous, fearing discovery, but Liu reassured him. Upon reaching the third level, the leaders encountered a beautiful but poisonous garden, unaware of its danger. Remembering ancient records that the resting place was on the fourth floor, one leader recognized something familiar about the flowers. Despite the disciples being in awe of the beauty, the leader urged them to focus on the mission. Suddenly, some disciples succumbed to the deadly poison, while others experienced hallucinations, leading to chaos and violence. Realizing the threat of the illusion fragrance flower, the leaders covered their noses, but it was too late. Infected by the poison, they began to fight amongst themselves. The leaders cleaned their jade talisman, which is capable of removing any restrictions and toxins. However, Leader Lei, being selfish, took it for himself. He isn't worried about anything now and activates the talisman, which shines brightly. Meanwhile, after Yang's new transformation, we can see that she has become more mature, and her hair has turned very white. Shu knows this is because Yang has absorbed a lot of the Holy Sun fluid. Yang then tells Shu that they need to go to the next level, so both of them fly up to the waterfall. Upon reaching it, Yang easily murders the guardian, a giant green snake. She respects her teacher and tells him that his kindness cannot be repaid in this lifetime. Minutes later, Shu points out the door to the next level, stating that after the 6th level, there isn't much danger, but there are more treasures and opportunities beyond the door. Meanwhile, on the 4th level, all the remaining survivors from the 3rd level have reached a safe place, but they still doubt if it is truly safe. The leader thinks they should rest for a while, but the other two want to hurry to the next level. One man mentions that the Holy Sun fluid can heal their injuries if they reach it. On the other hand, Liu and Lin are still on the 3rd level. While walking, Liu thinks about the Holy Sun fluid, and Lin has heard about it as well. Liu then realizes the place is poisonous, so she covers her mouth to avoid breathing it in. However, the poison affected Lin, making him much more aggressive, and he was about to attack Liu. Liu quickly kicked him away. After some time, they both reached a much safer place. Liu didn't forget what happened earlier and decided that if he acted like that again, she would leave him behind. She then saw the door to the 4th level. In her mind, if she can get the Holy Sun fluid, her cultivation can progress very quickly. Returning to Yang and Shu, they reached the 6th level and saw a huge platform. On that platform, a light appeared, and within the light, a bald monk emerged. This made Yang alert, but Shu told her that it was just a puppet, one of the challengers of the 6th level. The bald monk told them that they must defeat him to proceed to the 7th level, otherwise he would murder them all, speaking in an aggressive tone. Shu pushed Yang to fight the bald monk, wanting to see her new power. He even summoned a chair to watch the fight, encouraging her to seize the opportunity to familiarize herself with her new techniques and spirit quickly. Yang was nervous but understood her master's command. Suddenly, the bald monk attacked, but Yang dodged it easily. She followed her master's command and began to fight. Meanwhile, the 3 leaders reached the 5th level, which is dangerous. Shu had mentioned that losing on that level would mean staying there forever. The leaders were worried and panicking, but he reassured them that it would be worth it as the Holy Sun fluid is a very rare essence in the world. Leader Lei then told his disciples to advance quickly through the clouds. They entered the cloud, but some disciples lost their way, surprising the leader. Back with Yang and the bald monk, they fought at super speed while Shu watched, studying Yang's new techniques and tactics. Yang struggled as the monk, being a powerful puppet, threw her to the ground. Despite this, Yang wouldn't give up easily and summoned a beam of light to her hands. That's it for today's recap. Give us a like and subscribe for more videos. See you next time.